Hi there, and thank you for clicking on my video. This video is going to be covering Chroma and Chroma Prime and modding the Archon mods onto them. For the Chroma users, let me just say, compared to other frames, you've got it easy. You've got options, and literally it's just selecting which one falls in line with the buffs that you want when using Elemental Ward. But you've got options. Let's go over the mods first. Archon Continuity, plus 55 ability duration. Abilities that inflict a toxin status effect will also apply a corrosive status effect. This is going to be easily done. Every single one of these are easily done on Spectral Scream. Just toggle which element you want. If you're running like a heat elemental ward chroma for whatever reason, just pick the element, do the matching Archon mod, you're good to go. But Archon Continuity, if Elemental Ward or 1 or 4 proc a Toxin proc, you get a Corrosive proc for free. Pure and simple. Archon Vitality, plus 440 health percent. Status effects from abilities that deal heat damage will be applied twice. Again, Spectral Scream, super easy to proc this with. Elemental Ward, same thing with the dot. The issue is this mod requires a status chance. So the status chance is nailed down at 10. Like even on like a strength duration build, it's still 10%. And in order for this to be triggered, you have to apply the status effect, not just the damage. So this is going to be the weakest one, because let's be honest, using Spectral Scream for heat damage and losing the ability to use weapons is kind of a pain. And I wouldn't, especially with like Steel Path and everything, I wouldn't, this is the weakest one. But because it requires the status chance and you can't buff it. Another one, and honestly this is probably one of the better ones, if you will, because this just requires Archon Stretch. Let's go over the mod. Plus 45 ability range. Abilities that deal electric damage restore 2 energy per second over 5 seconds. The cool thing about this mod is where Archon Continuity requires a toxin status effect. The same with Archon Vitality requires a heat effect, the status effect to trigger. Archon Stretch doesn't. So if you're running an electric chroma, you just get 2 energy per second. So it's an option. The final one is Archon Flow. And again, the electric one, Archon Stretch, easily applies on Chroma's 1. And the Elemental Ward, it's the AoE, the damage reflection. Easily done. Archon Flow, direct upgrade to Prime Flow. Enemies killed by cold abilities have 10% chance to drop an energy orb. This is going to be the hardest one to trigger, even compared to the one with the heat status effect. Because you actually have to kill them with the cold damage. And it doesn't apply to the damage multiplier. And I've been testing it, and I got it to apply a couple of times, but the clearest way is obviously Elemental Scream. But with Elemental Ward, sometimes you can force the cold proc. This seems a little buggy on Elemental Ward. But the easiest way is with the 1. With 2, sometimes this applies to the damage, especially with like a forced cold proc or something. So I'm not sure what the interaction with this is. As the modding continues and these mods officially get released, I'm sure this stuff will get nailed out. But I found some circumstances where this applies and some where it doesn't. especially with using like Zada's Whisper. So just for now, put this one on hold. But going over the buffs, let's trigger them. Alright, so the heat one requires a heat status effect. Causes it to trigger twice. See how it went to 2? 2. Oh, hold on. There we go. 2, 4, 6, 8. Easy enough. Toxin. Applies toxin and corrosive. See? Elemental ward. They're both going up at about the same. Easy enough. Electric. You notice in the top, you get the buff. But more importantly, as you're running through, this is probably going to be the most, like, comfy one to use. Because you can regen so easily. And on status effect from the shield, it will, or from the aura, it will proc. But it requires shield damage, right? Actually, let me do that. Hold on. Easy enough. There we go. We have it in the top here. So this would definitely be an option for additional energy regen if you value the range on your Chroma build. But that's how easy that one is to proc. And Archon Flow is probably the hardest. Obviously, you can use Spectral Stream, set to cold, and just burn them down. But the damage is pretty weak. You're really not going to be using one for damage, especially because it's going to prevent you from using other stuff. So your mileage may vary. This is probably the weakest one because it requires you to kill with it, while the rest of them require status effects or just the generic damage being dealt. But there you go. This is how you trigger these. The other one is Archon Intensify, plus 30% ability strength. This requires an ability to restore health that you're missing. So right now I have 740 health. I would have to be 739 or below, and then heal myself directly with an ability. Chroma has quite a bit of options, but he does not have a heal. So you would have to helminth something onto him. So your mileage may vary. If you're helminthing stuff onto Chroma, like say you want to take off Effigy, which is probably what you should be doing, and you put something that has a heal on it, no dispensary doesn't count. It has to be a direct heal. You would, when you're missing health, Grace does not count. Arcanes don't count. And auras don't count. It has to be an ability directly healing you. You could then use this and probably pretty easily maintain the plus 30. It does snapshot on his abilities though. I've forced it, and it does snapshot the bonus on it. So this would be, when you helminth on a heal, would be a direct replacement for Transient Fortitude. With that one condition, you would have to heal yourself before, and you would replace Effigy. And it snapshots on his abilities, and it would be a direct replacement. And you would just enjoy the extra 27% ability duration. But to be honest, if you're playing Chroma, you're probably running a ridiculous amount of duration anyway. But that's just how it is. It is a direct upgrade. So snapshots. So he can use it, but it requires a helminth. Alright, thank you. And have a blessed day.